Welcome back, everyone. My name's Cole. I desperately need a haircut, and we're going to be doing some planting today. That tire looks low, just a little.
Well wind drive.
Great row.
Well wind drive. We're going to have to line stuff up at farm sale at the fuel tank.
While Dad is finishing up feeding, we're going to start getting ready to plant. We got to put more seed in there. And also, we got a few boxes right here. These are from Red E Performance Egg Parts. These are a few Pro Stitch closing wheels. We'll talk about that more once we get them up on the planter. And there they are. I've been working so hard trying to get this loose, and then I realized the threads are backwards. So if you're working on your planter, write that down. I just tightened it back up after I told you the threads were backwards. Lefty tighty, righty loosey, as they say. Pro Stitch closing wheel. And what these do is close the trench just like a normal round rubber rollers. Except these wheels obviously have flat kind of spikes on the end. And so they make it kind of like a zipper and zip it closed. These excel greatly in really wet conditions, help close that trench. Since it's kind of a crushing with these spikes, it reduces a lot of that compaction. And actually, when I was in college and we were in a corn production class, we went over a study that talked about different closing wheels, and these ones were the best. The ones with the flat spikes. And that's no joke. According to this study that we are looking at, which compared a bunch of different wheels, Pro Stitch were the best. Dad and I were looking at buying some a year or two ago when we bought this planter, but the planter was pretty dang expensive, so we were like, let's just wait a little bit. So then Matt Fall from Ready Equipment in Fargo, North Dakota hit us up. He said, hey, do you want to try some? Sent us a few down our way, and I'm trying to get those hooked up before Dad gets done feeding, so we can get loading up with seed and he can get going. I was very happy when I got a message from Matt because, like I said, we were thinking about buying some of these, and now we get to try them before we buy them, and hopefully we can tell you guys if we like them and if we think you should get them for your planter as well. Of course, I got to give them a bit of a plug. Red E Performance Parts, they got all kinds of products, no-till drill products, air cart stuff, and they are out of Fargo, North Dakota. And there is their phone number if you're looking for that. All right, let's keep rolling. Set us up with more than 3 rows worth, but just in case I put them on wrong, or that for some reason they just aren't working for us today, I didn't want to have a whole half planter done. So that powder we were putting on there, it's a talc, which is lime basically. Same stuff I think you put on babies' bottoms, unless you don't do that anymore. And then also some graphite, which makes it kind of blackish. The goal of that stuff is it's a dry lubricant, make sure everything's flowing good, and then the graphite lubricates all the working parts and all the meters and tubes and stuff, just make sure things are flowing. That was fast. All right, I think we're ready to go. I got the vacuum set up. Every seed size is different. You should be ready to go. Leaving Dad a camera. So we got some Brian Sonny action today. Hi, Ellie. Man, Brooks Oil over here doing 2 at a time, filling the diesel and the gasoline. Takes skill. You got yourself a Pro Stitch fidget spinner.
Why?
It'll give you something to do in the cab.
Auto steer? Because I got the auto steer?
Yeah, it's fun.
Okay.
Yeah. We have 2 projects we gotta do. We're getting low on silage, so we're gonna pile that all up so Dad can grab that easier. And then we got some welding to do. Holy cow. We are getting really low. And that right there is all we have left of silage from last year. We were planning on planting a little bit more this year, but since the price of corn has gone up as much as it did, like 100%, which is insane, and it's kind of scary. You know, what's going to happen? All I know is so far, price of inputs and the price of land has increased already like crazy, and I just can't foresee the current price of our corn and soybeans to stay where it is. We're gonna have a similar amount of silage again this year. You know, spent a lot of time in this bunker. I actually helped build this bunker when I was a sophomore in high school. I came back here just to check how it was going. He's like, hey, you want to help out? I'm like, sure. Some decent money for a 16, 17. There's rebar all throughout here, and I was helping tie that. You know, there's that little tool that spins around and ties the rebar with that little rebar tie, I suppose it's called. So I was up here tying some, and I dropped my tool in the form, and it landed way down there. And so somewhere in here, there's a little rebar tie tool in the concrete, because I wasn't going to be able to fit down in between those forms. I didn't get fired. Uh-oh. We just didn't turn the propane on, it's alright. That'll do. Alright, I'm sure planting's going good. Dad hasn't called me or anything, so planning on getting another 160 acres done today. We're not going crazy hard. We're not waking up extra early. It's plenty early in the season, and the ground temperatures aren't that great, and we don't have like a rain coming where we want to get something done. 160 acres, kind of easy peasy, and we're just kind of going with it. Looks good to me. So we'll pull this up. We got something to weld on, unfortunately. Hopefully it's not too big of a deal, but we'll find out. So I think we mentioned that this piece is loose. This ear broke off, and then the bolt fell out, and the bolt fell out down here. And so we wanted to replace that. You can only buy this entire piece, and it was over $500. And so we're thinking we're gonna let that ride. But if you look right here, you can see there's a crack started. And there's a lot of movement in there depending on the amount of crop going through. And so I'm naturally surprised how thin of material they used for that. But you can see the crack started, it cracked the paint, and the metal is definitely cracking. And it kind of seems like it is bent that way a little bit. So we're gonna shine that up, and when I lay a bead over there and that bead solidifies, it will pull it back a little bit, which I think is what we would like. It looks like this bolt is new. They've had trouble, the previous owners, with that. And one thing's for certain, we do not want that ear coming all the way off. So we're gonna clean that up, lay a bead on it, and then this thing is pretty much ready to go. All we gotta do, I think Jeff's running to town today, he might be getting parts, but these blades are shot, which that's something that needs replaced quite often. So we gotta weld on it a little bit, change the blades, and that's ready to go. Oils are changed, it's full of fuel and liquids, and that'll be fun to run. I don't know if I'll get to run it though, because I have surgery, so we'll see how that works out. Probably by the end of this haying season, I'll be able to run it. Little safety, when you turn these open, these valves, have those facing away from you. Obviously very seldom, but every once in a while it does blow one of those off. And I don't think you want to be on the business end of that. It hurt a little bit, or a lot of it. Yep.
Is this thing recording when it's flashing green or flashing red?
Flashing red.
Red? Red means stop.
What
does green mean when that's flashing?
There isn't a green.
Yeah, there is.
Where's it flashing?
Right up on top next to that round knob. Here.
FaceTime?
Yep.
Okay. Howdy.
Right up on top, you see that red flashing light?
Oh, the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, that means it's recording.
Oh, red or green?
Red. Green just means the camera's on but not recording. I thought he was talking about the planter, he was talking about the camera. Yeah, you can certainly see it's cracking down there. Not very often I weld on green equipment. Makes things a little more intense. Like camping. Yes, here you go. Just practicing. Alrighty, here we go. I like it. It's not perfect, but I sure do hope it'll do. Now next time I go to John Deere or somewhere, I should buy some of that fancy green paint, spray paint, and then make it kind of look like we never did that. Oh, wasn't too bad. Hopefully that stays solid. I don't know. I guess we'll see. Now that we have it out, of course we're going to take it on a lap around the yard. Do you often wonder who the heck I'm talking to? I'm just a weird guy with a camera, talking to himself. I'm sure in the next week or two, Jeff will show up with some blades. Now, bull day was a couple weeks ago. We do have some left if you're interested in a bull. A good chunk of those are already sold. If you're looking for a heifer bull and even a bigger bull, we can hook you up yet. Just send Brian a message on Instagram at Sonne Farms Dad. There's my office for the day.
Hey, good morning. I started planting corn yesterday. I'm back at it this morning. Gonna plant this 80-acre field. See what's going on back there a little bit. These modern planters are very technical, but they do a lot of it themselves. Nowadays, we can switch pretty much everything from the cab, where we can change the population. We used to have to go back and change a gear, look in the book. We've got how far down our row cleaners are putting pressure. We've got different settings for that. We've got shifts left and right on our auto steer. Acres being counted, hydraulic gauge wheels, how hard they're pressing down. You want that to kind of go between, well, it's nice when they're at 100, but coming off there once in a while, so you're not pressing down too hard. So if it hits 99, maybe even 98 once in a while, it's not a big deal. You kind of know you're right there where you need to be, where you're not pressing the ground too hard, maybe causing some compaction, but keeping the row unit down in the ground so you get your proper depth that's desired. That's the one thing that you do have to do outside yet, is set your depth. There's some little notches back there, and every time you move a notch, it's a 1/4 inch. We're planting about 1 3/4 inches deep. I'll talk to you in a bit.
We have never had good luck with UTV tires. I don't understand. Are we doing something wrong? Do your guys' UTV tires just go flat all the time?
I just shut it off for a minute because I wanted to get square backing up in the corner. I'm doing the east end row right now, and you can see on the screen in the upper right corner it says east end. I have some preset borders on all my fields now. When I get to the east end, the south end, I'll have the east end row done. Some people call it headlands. Then I will switch it to north side, because that's where I started across the field. And even though I'm on the south side of the field, it will match up perfectly with the north side, so I can just plant across to the other end to plant it, and I don't have to come back empty with the planter across the end to start back where I was before. So that does save a little time too. That's all I got to say about that.
So we did get set up with enough to do half the planter. At the end of the day, if Dad says it looks like they're doing good, we'll fit the rest of the planter with the Pro Stitch wheels. It's so weird. Dad's out planting and I'm just like at the yard. Usually at this time we're frantically trying to get tillage done and fertilizing done, but we got that done ahead of time. So I just read an owner's manual. I'm doing nothing.
We're gonna get out, have a little look at what I'm doing here, and show you the difference between the Pro Stitch closing wheels, which are here, as opposed to the factory John Deere closing wheel. We're gonna check our depth, and we've got this handy little measuring ruler here. We'll stick it down the slot. You can see we're right at, we're almost at 2 1/4. This ground must be a little bit different than where I was last night. So it's a walking deal. You can go that, and you can go that, and you can go that, and you can go that. 1/4 inch for each time you move that. Forward is shallower. I'm gonna raise the planter up. I'm gonna raise that up a little bit. I will check a couple more rows and see if it's pretty consistent on depth. Just a little bit about these Pro Stitch. If you can see here, this square dent is from these, and it is actually, you can see that these are angled. And what we're doing is, their sole purpose is closing the seed slot, which is right up here. Now if that seed stays exposed in that seed slot like that, the sun's going to get at it, dry it out, and it won't germinate. So these closing wheels are very important, that they cover it with dirt. But the design idea behind this is that they're not compacting the soil, they're just kind of sliding it over. You can see those squares from these pegs here, where these are almost firming the soil up. Not a bad thing. Actually works pretty good in most conditions, but if it's a little muddy or something, you can really get some sidewall compaction with your closing wheels. Maybe make it a little too tight. My opinion on them, from what I've read, never run them before, is they're about as good as there is on the market. So kind of excited. We're doing a trial. Here's a pretty good indication where it's closing, but not constantly. Gives that seed a little better chance to come up out of the ground without being pressed so hard like that. I'm gonna raise the planter up now. I'm gonna move all 16 of these ahead one notch.
The sun's trying to poke out. Our corn would like that. Some heat, some warmth. It's cold. I asked Dad how the Pro Stitch are doing. He said, Pro Stitch goob. Goob. We got some food for Dad. Nothing like a cold meat sandwich and a Pop-Tart and a surprise. A surprise. Interesting. Well, look at that. John Deere made a Pop-Tart holder.
I think everything.
You gotta look in here. I got a surprise.
Good thing. What the heck? Somebody sent
Stroop waffles.
Where'd they come from? Oh.
Blinded by the Stroop waffles and hit the ditch.
Somebody sent us. I thought we were having soup and sandwich.
I was gonna bring soup out here.
Where's my soup? Oh. Protect the Stroop waffle at all costs.
There's a cow way down there, just chomping away at the hayland. Just chomping, having a heyday. Not supposed to be in there. Son of a gun. I'll go get that gator and tear out there and let her know who's boss.
Sitting here thinking about my nephew Mike. He was kind of a rascal when he was in high school. For Halloween, my wife and I and the kids, when they were little, had set some straw bales up by the mailbox and made a scarecrow out of straw with one of my shirts and a pair of my pants. And had some ear corn laying there, kind of a harvest type of setting. And Michael got home from football practice, I suppose it was, and drove by, and he and his buddy Dallas, they stopped and they took an ear of corn and they put it between the scarecrow's legs. Did a bunch of naughty high school boy stuff. So I'm calling your butt out on it, Mike. That's all I got to say about that.
So we'll be done with that field over there pretty soon, and Dad's gonna come back. We're gonna put more seed in there, and then I'll be headed the opposite way. What's that?
Are we on a barking spree today?
A little bit. What's she barking at now?
Who would have thought you'd be climbing around like that?
I know, what do you mean? We're gonna grab some pellets and put that cow in. We gotta load up the next seed in the back of the pickup, so we're ready to go when Dad runs out of seed. Looks like y'all didn't end up with the best view. That's what you get for being out. You don't get your Dakota Gold Pro pellets. I think it hopped back in and got itself some Dakota Gold Pro pellets. That son of a gun. She just gets to have her cake and eat it too, I guess. Which, by the way, is my least favorite saying. I think it's really dumb. I do like cake, though. But yeah, she's no longer out here. Look at this. Good gravy. This is one of the fences I wanted to replace this summer. But you know, with that surgery, we'll just have to see how quickly I heal. We just need a couple more weeks to let their pasture green up and get ahead of them before we let them out there. So hopefully this fence can last a little bit longer. But we got hay in front of them, so I mean, we're feeding them. They just want that grass. All right, hang on tight. Don't make my dad mad at me. Many years ago, Dad was trying to outrun a storm of just rain was coming. He had bags in the back, and he said he looked back and he saw one. Of course, he was driving fast. He saw one stand up and then flip out. That's an easy way to lose a few $100s. Dad's gonna finish up that field, and other than that, there isn't too much going on. Usually we're running around doing fertilizing and tillage, but everything's basically done. So I hope you enjoyed watching us get some farming done today. Tomorrow we'll probably be doing some more planting. Hopefully we get a rain soon. I just looked at the 10-day and it looks dry. We're not hurting yet, but we're gonna be soon if we don't get a rain. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Have a good one.